Tony Mepham joins me in the studio, and of course we'll be talking Friday Football Focus later, but a sense of deja vu, Tony. We were talking about Storm Kira last week, Dennis the Menace this week, and already it's had an effect, I believe. I've heard that Marown against St George's in the Canada Live Premier League, that's been postponed because of the pitch, and the big ECAP FA Cup prelim round game, no chances being taken. Laxey's pitch isn't going to be fit, so it's been moved.
Yeah, fair play to Laxey and Corinthians for a start, and Laxey as well, because it's their home game in the prelim round of the ECAP FA Cup. And we sort of looked at the forecast Tuesday, Wednesday, and we thought, can we do something about this? And, if Laxey's pitch wasn't playable, if Balafletcher was, could we move it to there? And, we're not too sure now with the weather forecast that's coming in if Balafletcher would be fit. So fair play to both clubs. They've agreed to play at the Bowl because St Mary's don't have a game on that pitch this weekend. And it means that we can get this one out of the way because, if you look back at the draw the next round, Tim, Laxey or Corinthians play Ramsey Youth Centre.
I've lost track.
Exactly.
These two are so far behind in the draw.
Well, this was the prelim, and, Laxey and Corinthians, we need to get that one out of the way. The winners of that then play against Ramsey Youth Centre at Youth Centre, and then the winners of that play Colby. So it's all to play for, but it's great that clubs have looked at it and thought, we just want to play football, let's get it sorted. But it really has been lucky that the Bowl was available, and St Mary's have allowed the clubs to take the slot. But looking at Moran and St George's, Moran's pitch I thought was in good nick last week, but I think that rain that came down yesterday, Tim, has just put paid to it, and I think there'll be one or two other pitches as well. But hopefully the weather doesn't come in as bad as expected and we get some football underway, because I think a few people now are starting to get frustrated.
I think you're right. Well, at the Bowl then, Laxey versus Corinthians, what do you make of it? It was understandably postponed for the right reasons the first time round, which we won't dwell on anymore. Yeah,
it was fully acceptable, and there's a genuine reason why it was like that, but suddenly the weather has caused the problems now. And I think with Laxey, they might be fortunate this week, Tim, because half term is here and a few players back, and that's the way the cookie crumbles. If luck works for you in that way, then they could have a stronger team. But Corinthians, I think Blaine Slattery's team have got a full bill of health. Bit of a struggle last week against a good Ramsey side, and Blaine will be looking to correct that one. But
do you think their foot came off the gas a little bit when they were 2 up after 4 minutes?
Yeah, I think so. And Sean Doyle with a couple of goals in that one, and it can be frustrating. But then take note of Ramsey's results of late. They're much improved, and the young players there have really worked hard, and well done to them. And I think that's the reason why. And sometimes Premiership sides, the top sides, can come out the blocks really quick, and maybe get a goal or something, and it just settles the nerves. But then the teams that are expected to get beat suddenly find some energy from somewhere and drive on, and that's what Ramsey did. That goal he scored just before half time give the players a massive lift at the interval, and then in the second period really battled well with them. But Laxey have had a great season. This time last year they were really struggling for every single point to stay in the league. There's no problem this season, and I think Johnny Palmer's very happy with the way the players have played.
GH Corlock Woods Cup prelim round swings into action. Of course, this competition solely for Division 2 sides, and one game that will go ahead unless it's blown an absolute hoolie. Governors Athletic against Union Mills. Yeah,
I think they will, and these two sides know each other well, and Union Mills are a strong side this season, and there's a couple of other games in here that are quite tasty the way things are going. But I think certainly Tony Sewell's team will be hopeful to try and cause an upset against Union Mills. But I think we saw last week with Luke Booth in good form and others there playing really well, that Union Mills will start off as clear favourites in this fixture and go into the round for the next first round, which will be in about 3 weeks' time.
Concern, though, with the other 4 games, and you look at the home sides and pitches.
Yeah, I worked with a couple of the St John's players, and today they were saying that Ray Pitts, who looks after the pitch, is a little bit worried about it. But certainly against Colby, this is the game of the round, isn't it? Because Colby flying up until last week, and I think St John's are pretty well near enough full strength apart from Nick Lung. I don't think he's available, but 1 or 2 other players are coming back from injury, and Colby will be looking to sort of work off that defeat they had last time and see if they can go into the next round of the Cup. It's going to be a toughie, and I wouldn't be surprised if this one, Tim, might go all the way to extra time and pens.
Yeah. Jims against Braddon.
I think Braddon should be favourites in this one. Gyms have got some good experienced players in there that helps them through. But I think, Braddon know that probably promotion's out of it now, and they had a good start to the season, so they'll be looking to have a good run in this cup and get themselves into the Paul Henry, and then probably challenge next season to get back in the Premier League.
This one could be interesting. Onken against Michael.
Yeah, it could be. I think last week, Michael did really well up until, I think it was, 35, 36 minutes. The game was abandoned at their place against St John's, and it was still 0-0. So credit to them. And we all know what sort of good players that they've got there. Kieran McNulty, Nick Hertz there, and they've got other players there that'll, battle their cause. But I think David Rees knows that Onken have slipped off a little bit, and he'll be looking for the players to step up and do well in this competition. Struggle really to have confidence in maybe Onken winning this with the way Michael are playing, but I've just got to edge it to the Onken Stadium boys to go through.
And Ramsey Youth Centre play Douglas and District.
Yeah, you look at the league tables and it should go Ramsey Youth Centre's way. Again, they're a team that started well, have dropped a few points, so it's cost them dearly in that challenge to get promotion. As we're with D&D, change of manager, third way through the season, and now they're looking to see if they could change things around. I think it'll be tough for them, and that's why I'll go for Youthy.
Canada Live Premier League, and St George's actually had the opportunity to go second in the table if they returned with the points away at Moraine. Not going to happen now, and it means St Mary's could really open up a big gap. And we're not talking Liverpool terms just as yet, but if they win at Old Boys, they're well clear.
They are well clear, but if you have a look at the remaining fixtures that they've got, Tim, they've got all the toughies to come. It's just the way the fixtures went this year that the top teams, sort of, apart from the odd game,
they've
were
won
kept
9
apart.
out of their last 10, though.
Well, that's right. But when you look at some of them, they were made to work really hard against Douglas Royal and against Old Boys at Blackberry Lane. If it does rain tonight or tomorrow just before kickoff, then it will make it harder to play on because the pitch can be a little bit sticky. But you're right, they're getting points on the board, and that's all they've got to do. You
always like that rather than games in hand.
Definitely. And the way it's gone for them, they've been able to cover the injuries or the non-availability of Dan Hattersley. Josh Kelly was missing, but he's back in now, so there's an outlet for goals. Craig Murphy's alongside them. The midfield will score goals. Defensively, they're strong. They look really good. But just looking at that Moraine and St George's game, Tim, that was actually a qualification game for the Railway Cup. So
not good.
It's not good. We've been put back a few more weeks, so we'll get there.
Rest of the fixtures then, Pulrose against Douglas Royal, Ramsey against Douglas Athletic, and then in the Canada Live Combination 1, Douglas Athletic against Corinthians, who are the leaders now, I think.
Joint leaders with St
And St George's against Peel, always a tasty one.
Yep.
And Combi 2, Ayr against Colby, and Foxdale against Gyms.